I started the day at 3 a.m. having never been to the Adirondack Loj before. I wanted to make sure I could get a spot in the parking lot before it got too full. I got my gear ready and I hit the trail with my headlamp on, into the darkness again. My first destination was Marcy Dam Campground. After 2 miles of walking in the dark, I made it to Marcy Dam as the sun was rising. From there, I decided to make my way to Mount Colden to do the tallest summit first. The climb from the valley floor up Avalanche Pass was uneventful. There were some signs of snow from the previous week, but most of it had already melted. At the top of the pass sits Avalanche Lake. Standing at the north end of the lake, it was like looking at a mirror first thing in the morning. The trail then makes its way alongside the lake. There are ladders and planks to help hikers navigate the narrow space. After making it past Avalanche Lake, the trail begins its approach to the base of the mountain. After a quick water break, I started my 2,000-foot climb up Colden's south face. The trail was steep but forgiving, with plenty of trail maintenance, and the staircases were pretty cool. After more climbing, I finally reached the first summit of the day. The view was incredible. Words can really barely describe it. For a moment, my mind brought me back to the Bitterroot Mountains of my childhood in Montana. It was a welcome memory I don't get to relive often anymore. From the summit of Colden, I made my way down the north face. I had to put on my microspikes, as the trail was still very icy. After a very slow descent down, I made it to Lake Arnold. I ate a sandwich and enjoyed the view a bit before continuing. The trail was still very icy, since it sits in the shadow of the mountain. My next destination was Tabletop. The miles to Tabletop were muddy and wet. A familiar condition, from what I understand, for the Adirondacks. Right before the base of Tabletop sits Indian Falls. It was a short detour that I'm glad I made. Now, Tabletop is an interesting climb. Not as tall or technically challenging as Colden. However, the trail is more of a drainage ditch than an actual trail. It's a steep 1 mile that gives you a little bit of a mud surprise before reaching the summit. After grabbing some water and a view of Marcy, I made my way back down. On the way back down, I missed a junction and found myself on a cross-country ski trail. It still was going to where I needed to, but it was not suited for hikers. After climbing over plants and rocks, I met back up with the main trail at the base of my third mountain of the day, Phelps. Now, this trail was not actually that bad, but my legs were very tired by this time in the day, so the 1.5 miles was very slow. I finally made it to the top while there were already several people enjoying the summit. Not feeling too social, I snapped some views of the Great Range and started back down before the group decided to set off. Once back at the bottom of Phelps, all I could think about was getting back to my truck. My legs were tired and I was running out of water. I went as fast as my legs would carry me back past Marcy Dam to the Loj. I made it back, and to my surprise, the concessions was still open, so I was able to grab a hamburger and a beer before they closed up. It was a very welcome end to the hike. This trail is long and tiring, but I loved it. 9 summits down, and I'm already thinking about next year to start my next 46ers.